right, Bongiwe Zwane, my co-anchor, is coming to you live this late afternoon from Alexandra Township with a panel bringing you a range of views on what has been happening in Alexandra. Bongiwe, over to you.
All right, so good afternoon to you, Francis, and the viewers as well. You are correct. We are coming to you live from the Greater Alexandra Chamber of Commerce. And of course, this is one of those places that has just been opened in a bid to try and assist with the issue of unemployment in the Alexandra Township. But of course, this is one of those townships where we saw disturbing scenes emerge this week, clashes between locals and foreign nationals. Of course, we now know that that was the Dudula movement, which is different to Operation Dudula. We do have them here, Francis. We are going to be in conversation with them just to get a sense of who exactly are they, because we have been hearing from them through, Griselda Lewis, our colleague who has been watching developments there in Alex for us. But just as we try, Francis, to answer the question that you've asked tonight, why are we seeing what we are seeing, especially at the back of that very disturbing report by the World Bank that says South Africa is the most unequal society in the world? A very disturbing report, and also, juxtaposing this against the backdrop of the high unemployment numbers, poverty levels really skyrocketing. Certainly, a lot of underlying causes are, in fact, fingered by some of those who are conducting various studies into what exactly may be behind some of what we are seeing in our townships. And of course, so we are in conversation with Dr. Vusmuzi Sibanda, who's the chairperson of the South African, the African Diaspora Forum. We are, of course, going to talk to them about some of their thoughts around what has been unfolding. We have Agnes, who is the public relations officer of the Dudula movement. She also is the secretary of Operation Fiela. So we'll find out just how these two are in fact linked. At the same time, we have Councillor Belinda Zonjoku, who is the member of the Mayoral Committee Development Planning in the city of Johannesburg. Thank you so much to you all for your time. Agnes, I'm going to begin with you because we saw, very violent scenes in Alexandra Township this week. Talk to us about the Dudula movement. Who are you, and how do you link the two with Operation Fiela?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us. Alexandra Dudula movement was established in 1995, as you can see the t-shirts here. Back then it was called Siyabangena. Unfortunately, due to people flourishing, people leaving the world and passing on, it was revamped in 2018, and then it was named Dudula by our late member, Mr. Thabang Mthibedi. So it kept on. However, Operation Dudula was launched by Alexandra Dudula movement. The thing that made us now to separate from them is that Alexandra Dudula movement, it's a community movement. We are not politically affiliated. However, the Operation Dudula, particularly in the Soweto one, started wanting to lay on the same bed with political parties.
Which political parties have I
cannot say in particular. Okay. They can answer that for themselves. So we diverted ourselves from that because we don't want to be a part of that. We are led by the community. We consist of community.
So I watched an interview with one of the leaders of Operation Dudula, and they said that they'd like to sit, down with yourselves and to see if you share the same ideologies and you might be able to work together. So I'm listening to you now. It doesn't sound like that will happen.
It's a good thing that we unite, especially as South Africans. So we will wait for that call for when they say they're ready to come sit down with us.
So before I move on, one of the things that we saw emerge in Alexandra this week, of course, violent clashes, very disturbing. We saw people being injured live on television, and I did see you as well on the ground talking about what unfolded. But this has now been condemned by cabinet, and I'll read to you some of what the minister and the president, Simondle Gungubele, had to say. He says that if you allow illegality because you want to resolve our problem, the outcomes can actually be dire. You can't be illegal in pursuit of a noble intention because the worst can come out of that. What do you say?
You know, it's very unfortunate that whatever had transpired on the 7th of March, which is when the whole mess up started, it's that we are said that all media houses are now not saying the truth. And it pains us as the community of Alexandra that how come it changed all of a sudden that we are the one who attacked foreign nationals.
What is the truth? Let's talk about the truth.
The actual truth is that we were attacked by foreign nationals on the 7th of March early in the morning. Stones were thrown at South Africans. Cops were called and cops only arrived at the scene 1 hour 30 minutes late. And when the cops got there, the situation had settled. However, we were divided into two groups. The South Africans were on the other end and foreign nationals were on the other hand. Police came and on the spot, the police witnessed that all foreign nationals were in possession of weapons, it being stones, bricks, sticks, you can name a few. However, they looked on the other side. As South Africans, shocked as we were, terrified as we were, we had nothing. We were unarmed.
I can't help but ask you this. Did it just start with them throwing rocks at you, or did the situation start with, a clash even before the rocks were thrown? Take us through briefly before I bring in the other guests. The scene. What was happening for them to throw the stones?
Okay, so our day-to-day operation has been peaceful since the launch of the operation on the 13th of February. On a Monday morning, we get to our meeting spot as usual. As leaders, we are about to give the community members the work mandate for the day. All of a sudden, we saw a group of people, unfamiliar faces. They gathered by the robot at the corner there. Okay, we didn't entertain them, we didn't talk to them, we didn't engage with them. Later on, 3 gentlemen came and approached us and they asked, who's in charge here? And then my chairperson stood up and said, how can I help? They then said that they are a group of foreign nationals. They want to tell us that they are coming back by force to occupy the spaces that we have then removed all illegal undocumented immigrants from. So Chairman said, no, you know what, I'm glad, who are you guys? They said they represent their leaders of foreign nationals and the actual vendors who operate there. So they then said, I'm glad that I've met leaders because now we can now engage leadership to leadership. Now, when you say you're coming back and you don't want us to sit down and talk, what's the meaning of that? They said, no, we are telling you that we are coming back because we are starving. We want to come back and utilize those spaces that you guys took from us.
All right. Let's pause for a second there. I'd like to bring you in, Dr. Sibanda, because one of the things that we saw from yourselves is that you've condemned what happened there. Cabinet also is condemning what happened there. Let's talk about your sense of what unfolded in Alexandra this week.
Thank you very much. Well, look, this is not the first time. I think, as you would know, in 2018, right further down the police station at the river, a good number of people, some with permanent residence, were removed from RDP houses. And I remember we engaged, the police, and they got involved because, there was a group, that would come in, lock the houses and weld them and kick people out. We've seen this also happen in Orange Grove, courtesy of, Dudula movement. So what Miss Agnes has just said now, that they were attacked, I think first, it becomes, I think, economic of the truth, because an attack is not just in terms of physically attacking somebody. When they went and removed people from the stalls, one of the things that we have always said is that I think this is what the minister and the president is saying, that you cannot cure illegality by doing another illegality. Now, we have always said that we do not condone illegal immigrants in the country because we want everybody to be regularized and become regular. Now, if an ordinary citizen see that, okay, there is an irregular person, I don't know what qualification they have to real verify. If you say this is an irregular or an illegal immigrant, do you have the Home Affairs equipment? Because Home Affairs comes in, takes fingerprints, does the biometrics, ascertain how did this person come in? Yes, indeed, the person is illegal. Now, if a person presents an asylum seeker document, whatever it is, to Dudula movement, I don't know how they would verify that to ascertain that the person is illegal. Now, if they then say we were attacked first, I think that would to be a bit unfair, because the attack comes when you go to a person without the necessary mandate and authority, and you say move from this space, and then you replace them with somebody. And if there is no intervention, like what happened in this particular instance, where the situation continues, like what she said, that they continue to give mandates, and those mandates basically mean going to the businesses, closing down businesses that they perceive to be owned by migrants and who they call illegal. Now, without any verification to that, without police doing their work, I think South Africa is a country that is a constitutional democracy where rule of law is paramount. And if somebody notices that something unlawful is taking place, the noble and citizenship thing to do is to report that to the police, to report that to the Department of Home Affairs.
So, Dr. Sibanda, before I move on to the MMC, do you think what the group is doing is xenophobic?
What the group is doing, especially when they go and attack, people, and that becomes xenophobic. Now, it does not become xenophobic. For example, they say we go and remove illegal immigrants. I'm yet to see the proof of saying this is an illegal immigrant. And unfortunately, I have the 2018 experience where we ended up having to get the liaison officer, the police liaison officer at SABC in Alexandra, and to even try and go down there to see exactly what was happening. And we saw families that were closed out of houses that, had proper documentation, some of them not even, foreigners, but perceived to be foreigners because of their language. And, it went on to say the blame is on the Alexandra Renewal Project, because these people are buying, their way into getting the houses. And we have seen lists, from, the renewal project.
I'm going to give you a chance just to respond to that, Nate, just very briefly. But let's go to you, MMC. Alexandra is a very old township. It is still under, there's not much development you can see. And when you look at Alexandra, you can't help but think of the Alexandra Renewal Project, for example. You look at the fact that even the spatial development of Alexandra itself still represents a colonial system. Now you have a number of people that are very angry in Alexandra Township over the lack of opportunities. They live a stone's throw away from Sandton. Does, government through the city of Johannesburg, because I know you don't speak for government as a whole, do you understand the anger that has also led to some, possibly, of what we are seeing?
Firstly, good afternoon to yourself and to your listeners, and I'm grateful to be actually sitting with these, the lady and the gentleman, because this is symptomatic of a society where there's problems with the rule of law, first of all. I want to condemn, first of all, that anything that does not happen within the confines of the rule of law is vigilantism. So that we need to get out of the way. Yes, we understand, and I can only speak for the city of Johannesburg, a lot of the Alexandra Renewal Project, I can tell you what we from development planning side, because the ARP used to sit within the development planning, and up to, as in a few days ago, we had tried to find out what had happened with all the projects that were supposed to have been developed in Alex, because it's since 2001, I believe, or 2011. It should have been developed by now. And nobody can give account of what had happened. And yes, it's a failure on the part of the people who were involved in that project. And you cannot help but think there had been corruption, because if no one can give account of what had happened, where you have people getting this angry, where they're still waiting for houses, they attacking foreign nationals, because that's the next level of seeing you've taken what we're supposed to be getting. That you can't underestimate the fact, the level of corruption within the country, because there must be accountability. And unfortunately, from the city of Johannesburg side, the ARP has now been removed out of, it used to be in development planning, it was run by the JDA, it used to sit with the JDA, and it's now been moved to the province. And still, to get information, we still have yet to get that information as to what has happened.
I know you've just come into this position, but shouldn't the city be dipping its head in shame? when you still look at the fact that you still have what we see in Alexandra Township, the squalor that people continue to live in, when we still have millions, even billions, that are still unaccounted for when it comes to development?
Yes, definitely. Whoever, for the past 27 years, and we cannot discount the fact that for the past 27 years, we had several different mayors. And if I remember correctly, it started even with President Mbeki when Amos Masondo was still the mayor of the city of Johannesburg. That should have finished already, I think in 2008 or 2012, I'm not sure of the date, but up to now, the city should, whoever was running the city up till the 1st of, 2016 at least, should hang their heads in shame and should be held accountable for the situation Alexandra's in at the moment.
All right, I'm going to pause us just for a second as we come back. Agnes, you must keep those points in mind around what qualifies you to make sure that, as Dr. Sibanda says, what qualifies you to say a person is legal or illegal, and then we'll talk about some of the development around this particular area. But also remember, we do have some people who are here with us who would like to make their voices heard, and we'll also be giving them a chance to be able to pose some questions or even make some comments. We'll come back after this.